is, why trade the correct score market? What's the advantage of trading the correct score market over just trading the match odds and the over and under goal markets, etc., etc.? Well, here's the thing. Number one, the correct score market is obviously a separate market, but it's so separate in that if you've got good strategies which work well on match odds, which work well on the over and under goal markets, you can trade the same match with strategies on those markets and also on the correct score market. Okay, everything we're going to teach you today and everything inside Correct Score Mastery shows you how to trade the correct score market solely inside that correct score market. So it is almost like having a whole separate market within the football trading sphere. Okay, so you could be laying a draw or doing something in the match odds market, but you could also have the correct score market on the same match and you could still be profitable on both. So it almost adds a whole new dimension to your football trading. And at the same time, trading correct scores is a very flexible market. Now, if you're trading, say, the goal markets and you're going for overs, you're backing overs, well, you're going to need some goals to be scored in order to get there. And if there's no goals scored, well, the market can get away from you pretty quickly, okay? And vice versa. But with correct scores, it's actually pretty flexible. If you're covering a certain amount of correct scores, and let's just say you covered the scores in favor of the favorite, but the underdog is winning, well, there's stuff you can do within the markets which can allow you to adjust your position according to how the match is developing. And a lot of people do love that flexibility. It's not like you've gone into the match in favor of the favorite, suddenly the underdog's winning, and now you're just hoping for some sort of miracle. Well, there's stuff you can do, okay? And we're going to be showing some of that to you very, very soon, coming up, okay? So also, it's got a very good risk versus reward ratio. A lot of football traders aren't the biggest fans of some of the risk reward ratio, some of the standard strategies within football trading. You've often got to risk more than you can potentially win. And a lot of people don't tend to like that. Some people are fine with it. Okay, different strokes for different folks and all that. However, with correct score trading, we're tending to try and win more than we're risking. And we'll get into more detail of that in just a moment and show you some examples of it. But that's why a lot of people do like trading correct score markets, okay? Because you're going in with your stake, and if a match goes really, really well, you could be ending that match with profits which are many multiples of your stake, as opposed to some strategies where you're going in with your stake and you might be happy to walk out with 25%, 30%, 40%, etc. Okay? With correct score trading, you could be walking away with 100, 200, 300%, 400%, okay? And we've got real life examples showing you exactly this coming up later on. And also, another thing to keep in mind, and a lot of people feel this way about correct score trading, is that there's less luck required, okay? A lot of people feel like there is some luck involved in football trading on the regular markets. I tend to disagree with that, but that's mainly down to the flexibility of the trading on those markets, on the match odds and the over and under goal markets. Like I said, if it goes the wrong way, sometimes there's nothing really much you can do and the market just gets away from you. But with correct score trading, as said, there's usually always some sort of option. There's always some sort of option, and you can take action as the match develops, and you can move things around, get in and out, etc., etc. So people feel like they're more in control of the match of the whole trade as it develops. So anyway, there's some good reasons to be trading the correct score market. Now, the next question is where to start. Now, the initial big problem for anyone attempting to trade the correct score market, and if you're new to trade in the correct score market, this is how the typical correct score market looks on the Betfair exchange. There are 19 different outcomes. We haven't even got all the outcomes on the screen. It wouldn't even fit in the screenshot. But 19 different outcomes. So that means there's 19 different prices, all moving in different directions, depending on the time of the match. And the thing is, almost every match has a different market profile. So the one on the screen, this shows a match where the favorite was around evens, okay? So the favorite's around evens is a pretty standard market in football. But then this one is slightly different. This one has a strong favorite. However, the match was expected to be low scoring. And then this one, I believe, was the opposite. Okay, so strong favorite, but high scoring. So look, I mean, there's so many different combinations on the correct score market, which means that, look, there's no one size fits all strategy for the correct score market. So there's one quick tip just to keep in mind for anyone who's brand new to this. Okay, every market has slight different nuance to it. And so, yeah, there is no one size fits all to this particular way of trading, but we're going to give you more information on that in just a moment. But one thing you do have to learn is that you've got to learn which prices are going to steam, which prices are going to drift, which takes some time and experience. And I can quickly tell you now, I mean, generally, the current score and the next possible score will constantly steam in, while other prices will drift out. So if it's 0-0, you're going to have the 0-0 steam in, and then the 1-0 and the 0-1 will steam in also, and the rest will either be static or drift out. And we can take advantage of much of this when we're trading, okay, as you will discover more about later on. But that's the main idea behind it. But as I said, almost every match is going to be slightly different, because some matches, if there's a big underdog, well, the 1-0 to the underdog is probably not going to steam that quickly. If it's a really strong favorite, you might see 2-0 steam in, sometimes even the 3-0 as well. So anyway, yeah, there's a lot to take in. Almost every market has a slightly different challenge to it when you're trading the correct score market. But most of the approach we're going to show you today should help to simplify a lot of it. Now, of course, look, if there's 19 different outcomes, how do we handle trading 19 different outcomes? Well, a typical newbie mistake when initially trading the correct score is picking one correct score and hoping to hit it. Okay, as I said, there's 19 different outcomes. I've seen a lot of people just try and back, say, a 2-0, match starts, underdog scores, 2-0's dead. What do you do from there? They back the 2-1, but early start to the match and, well, some early goals in the match. Suddenly the favourite's 3-0 up. Well, what do you do from there? Okay, you can't pick one correct score and hope to hit it. That's veering onto the whole gambling side of things when we're looking to trade. So here's the first secret we're going to tell you. Do not trade one correct score. You're going to be trading multiple correct scores. And when you're picking out those correct scores, you're going to be incorporating a plan A and a plan B. So you're going to be looking at every match and you're going to do your forecast for the match. And generally, you're going to be looking for a favorite, and you're going to be picking correct scores in favor of that favorite. That is probability-wise the best thing to do. But at the same time, as we know, favorites aren't always going to win. So you're going to have to incorporate a plan B. And your plan B could be to cover, say, 1-0 to the underdog, maybe even 2-0 to the underdog. It could be to cover the draws. So it could be covering 0-0, could be covering 1-1 in case that favorite fails, okay? But we want to have a bit of a backup plan, okay? So plan A and plan B will be covered within the score lines. And really, you have to understand the importance of having a good, solid target score formula, okay? Because it's not just a case of picking, well, I'm going to pick a 2-0. Let's pick a 2-2. Let's also go 1-2 to the underdog. Also, let's cover the 0-0 and let's cover, say, the 3-2. Okay, that's a little bit all over the place. You're going to need a good target score formula, which, as I said, incorporates a plan A and a plan B, but also puts you in the best possible position to maximize your profits. And really, football trading, well, correct score trading, is a little bit like playing a chess match. You've got to think 2 to 3 goals ahead. Okay, so as a goal goes in, you got to think about which prices are going to move in as that goal goes in, which prices are going to drift out, and which prices will be eliminated. Remember, once that first goal is scored, there's a certain amount of scores which are suddenly eliminated. Okay, so if the favorite scores to make it 1-0, well, 0-1 or 0-2 to the underdog are now impossible. So those scores are already eliminated, and you want to find a way to make sure that your target score formula, within reason, covers as many possibilities as possible. But anyway, look, we're going to get into more detail on that in just a moment. But having a target score formula which keeps you alive after each goal is scored is absolutely paramount. And as I said, you've got to think 2 or 3 goals ahead when you're trading the correct score market. And if we take a quick look at this example, this was a match where, look, you can see the scores we picked out. Okay, we went in favor of Bochum, who were the favorite, and we've covered 2-0, 2-1, 2-2, 3-0 and 3-1. So that's a solid target score formula. Okay, mainly because we've got a bit of a plan B. The plan B in this case is the 2-2. So for whatever reason, we've forecasted this is going to be a high scoring match. And if Bochum are going to fail to win, probably we're looking at a 2-2. But also as part of the plan B is the 2-1. Okay, so we're saying that, look, if Bochum don't win it comfortably, 2-0 or 3-1, they might concede. And so we could easily be on a 2-1 at some point, or could easily be on a 2-2 or a 3-1. So it's a nice solid target score formula for that particular match. And just to show you how this match played out, it played out very, very well. But Bochum were 2-0 up at half time, and all of the scores we had backed, all the prices had now shortened. Okay, if I quickly go back, we can just get an idea of it. So you can see the 2-0 was backed at 13s, 2-1 was backed at 11, and you can get an idea. So 2-1's gone into 5.7 to lay, etc., etc. So all of these trades came in, and we could cash out at half time for £179. So we went in with £100 stake, covered these scores, and at half time we were in a very strong position, exceeded our target aim for profit, and we could cash out. Okay, so this was a good example, a rare example of backing all these scores, and we incorporated a plan A and a plan B. It looks like plan A was coming in with the 2-0 to Bochum, and all the scores had shortened, and it was pretty much the ideal trade. Okay, now this is quite a rare one. As I said, it's not always going to be this easy. I do want to just let you know about that, which is why we've got the plan B, and which is why we've got other techniques as well up our sleeve when we're trading the correct score market. But hopefully that explains a little bit more about target score formulas and picking out the target scores as well. And if we just go back to it, how many did we pick out here? We picked out 5. Okay, so that's kind of a good balance. Remember, keep in mind, the less scores you pick, the bigger the potential profits, but also the lower your probability of succeeding. But the more scores you cover, the lower your potential profits. So 4, 5 is a good balance. Okay, and that's something to keep in mind. But of course, you can run your own experiments. So let's move on to the next correct score trading secret, and that is to never enter using your full stake. You've always got a reserve, have a reserve to deploy. And as said earlier on, we want to keep all our trading within the correct score market. We want to have a plan A, a plan B. We want to be prepared for when matches go completely crazy, okay, as they will do. Not every match is going to go perfectly to plan, like that previous example. And so we tend to generally enter using 50% of our stake. Okay, then we've got another 50% to use in play if need be. Okay, we might not even need that other 50%. And just to be clear, this is not doubling up on your stake, because some people get a little bit confused, and psychology wise they're not fully understanding it. So we're not saying to go in with £100, and if it's going bad, well, you're just going to double up and put in £200. No. If your stake is £200, then you're going in with £100, which is half of your stake. If your stake is £100, you start out with £50. If your stake is a tenner, you're starting out with £5. Okay, so you're not doubling up your stake, you're entering the match with half of your stake. And I've seen people try and do this, but then they get nervous about putting in the other 50% of their stake. And then I say, well, that wasn't half your stake then, was it? Because they kind of feel like they're doubling up. But anyway, I just want to make that clear. You're taking your usual stake and you're halving it to enter the market, and you're going to be more than comfortable to go in with your full stake later on in the match. Okay, if not, lower your stakes. But anyway, that's important to keep in mind. The next secret is you need to set a minimum profit aim before the trade. Maybe this isn't even really a secret. This is kind of standard to trading generally. Okay, if you're going to enter any trade, you should always have a minimum profit aim that you're willing to take, depending how the trade is developing. Okay, now with correct score trading, we do like to go in and as a minimum, as said, 50% of your full stake as a minimum. Okay, so if your full stake is £100, then £50 is the minimum profit you're looking to try and make from the match. It won't always go to plan. Sometimes you might be in situations where you've got to take less. However, you got to keep trying to push for at least the minimum, but really we want to try and make it higher than that. Okay, but look, any trade you enter, you've got to know what your minimum profit aim is. Okay, I see a lot of newbie traders entering football trades, not just in the correct score market, but in any market, and they get in, and then halfway through the trade they start to decide what sort of profit they're kind of looking for. Okay, you need to get in with a plan, and get in with a plan of a potential minimum profit that you're looking to take. Now, of course, we're not always going to want to take that minimum, which is why once we've got into a strong position in the correct score market, we do this. We RRRP. Remove risk and race profits. Okay, this is pretty much the secret sauce to correct score trading, and this is what we're going to teach you coming up in some of the live demonstrations, and we teach you a lot of this inside the course. Okay, it's all about attempting to remove risk as quickly as possible. That's step one with every correct score trade that you enter. So at the very minimum, we don't lose money, or at least we don't lose our full stake at the very minimum. Okay, if we can enter any correct score trade and not lose our full stake, that's actually not a bad position to be in. Okay, if we are profitable from time to time and winning many multiples of our stake, then the risk reward ratio is going to be nicely in our favor, and it's much easier to profit in the long term. But let me quickly show you an example of this. Okay, so this is Man City against Arsenal from the Premier League, and you can see, look, it's 2-0 to Man City at half time. Now look, we've backed and covered as part of our target score formula on this one: 2-0, 2-1, 2-2, 3-0 and 3-1. Okay, plan B was the 2-2, and so far it's not looking like we're going to need much of that plan B. Now this is very similar to the Bochum example that we literally just looked at. However, the profit that's available isn't the profit that we particularly want just yet. Okay, we're trying to aim for a bigger profit in this particular match. But as said, the first step to any correct score trade is to try and remove the risk. So at halftime, we moved some things around and we got that potential risk. If we get one more goal in this one, we are going to now look at a potential loss of, say, £46, okay, instead of 100. All right, so we basically put the risk on the current score of 2-0 because we're anticipating more goals in this one. So any goal, the potential maximum risk, should this go completely tits up, would be £46, okay? And that's the principle behind correct score trading. We've got to try and protect our stake as much as possible. There can be some wild matches where you get 2 quick goals to Man City, they're 4-0 up, you're on any other home win, and you're gone from being a strong position to losing your stake. Okay, we don't want that to happen. So rule number 1 is to remove risk or lower risk as much as possible. So we've done that here at halftime. Now let's move it forward. By 78 minutes, Man City are 3-0 up, and you can see that we have already removed the risk, okay, by the time this screenshot was taken. Okay, now for whatever reason, this match was a while ago, so I can't fully remember the reasoning behind it, but we're now obviously in a position where we have removed risk. Now it's time to race profits. Okay, now you could see, look, the cash out is there, and we could lock in £130. Okay, we could lock that in. All right, but we want to try and race profits. We feel like we're in a strong position to try and do that. Now what we did was we then laid the 3-0 scoreline, and I believe you can see it here. You could just about see underneath this yellow patch, but anyway, we laid the 3-0 scoreline. So if it remained this score, we're still exceeding what was our minimum profit target of £100. and that's good. So we're good there. And if Man City score another, well, we're doing that as well. However, we've got a nice bit of green on the 3-1. Okay, Man City 3, Arsenal 1. If Arsenal can pull one back. So we're putting ourselves in a very nice position by doing this. Okay, as said, at this point in the match, once you've removed risk, and this is what's so powerful about correct score trading, is that once you've removed the risk, it's not a matter now of whether we're going to win or lose the trade. It's a matter of how much are we going to win the trade by, okay? And that's one of the beautiful things about trading the correct score market. And these are the great positions to be in. So, look, we've got ourselves in this position. If Arsenal pull one back, that's great, okay? That's really good. But if not, well, we've still got the profit we were looking for, okay? Now, in this sort of match, probably Arsenal aren't going to pull one back. However, as you probably guessed, they did. All right, they did. They pulled one back, and on the 86th minute. So we locked in that profit at that particular point, which gave us £332 across all the outcomes. However, remember, we're trying to raise profits. We're not done there. It's such a low price to now lay the 3-1 scoreline at 1.35. We laid it off again, and can't quite show you what we did on this screenshot, but we move it forward to the 94th minute, and Man City made it 4-1, and we had £433 on the any other home win. Okay, so you can see how that trade developed. All right, at halftime we could have locked in £65. We hit our minimum profit target, I guess, early in the second half. We could have taken that. However, racing profits, remove the risk, so you're in a strong position and you can be confident at that point, because remember, it's not like we're trying to risk stupid amounts to try and leverage up our profits. We're not risking anything, okay? All the risk has gone from the markets. We're now in a beautiful position of just trying to see if we can hit these higher score lines, and if we can, we're going to hit some juicy profits. It's not always going to happen. In a lot of matches, if we go back to, say, this position, 3-0 Man City, probably that's it. There's no further goals. And either way, we still made our nice profit at that particular point. So that profit there, £433, not bad for that initial risk of £100. But the main takeaway, it's not really about the profits. I want to get people out of that mindset. The main takeaway from that example is how we removed risk and raced the profits. Okay, this is all about learning. All these examples we show you, it's not to say, oh, look how amazing this was that we made this profit and how amazing I am. Nothing like that at all. The main takeaway is to show you a good example there of how we removed risk and then raced those profits. Okay, so anyway, that was a quick example. And that was just an appetizer, really, of things that are about to come. Right now, we're going to dive into some never-before-seen real-life correct score trading demonstrations. These have never been shown on YouTube or anywhere else. And these should begin to illustrate everything that you've just been taught regarding picking out that target score formula, removing risk, and racing profits. Okay, go grab a nice cold beer and let's get into it. So just about to kick off in the Champions League, Newcastle against Paris Saint-Germain. So Newcastle here 2.52 and over and under 2.5 goals, favouring the over 2.5 goals. So we're going in favour of Newcastle on this one. And if you check out the scores we've covered, 2-0, 2-1. We're also going for a 2-2, okay? We're expecting a high scoring one. And obviously you've got to expect PSG probably going to get on the score sheet, right? 3-0 and 3-1 in favour of Newcastle. Let's see what happens. It's just about to kick off from the Champions League. So it's half-time in this one. Newcastle 2, PSG 0. So this is going perfectly to plan. The scorelines we covered, well, every single one of them is still alive and has pretty much shortened from where we backed it. Okay, so that's interesting. And so anyway, look, there's a lot you can do, and we will be showing you more about what you can do, but the cash out has exceeded what our profit target was for this particular match. So we can just press it and lock in the profit, and then that would be that. Okay, so we might have to press it again. because that can happen on the correct score market. There's another tip to keep in mind when you're using the cash out. And there, we've got it locked in. Okay, 163% return. Newcastle 2 up, and our job is done in the first half. 45 minutes, and then we're pretty much out with a profit. Okay, so we've got that locked in, and of course we've got more examples coming up where we're going to show you how to race those profits, because generally when you're in a strong position like this, we want to try and see if we can extract bigger potential profits out of it. But this is a good example just to show you how low maintenance correct score trading can be. You saw we backed all those score lines, half time has arrived, we've exceeded our profit target, we locked in the profit, and then that's the end of the match and we just walk away. Okay, that is guaranteed for us. So anyway, there's one example. We've still got lots more to come. Newcastle 2, PSG 0 from the Champions League. Champions League action here. It's Leipzig against Man City, and Man City are 1.7. Kind of a nice price, to be honest. I thought they would be a lot shorter. I'm fully expecting a Man City victory in this one, and over 2.5 is there at 1.87. So anyway, look, we've covered a fair few score lines. The 0-2, 0-3, 1-1 is our plan B in case Leipzig can maybe make a game of it, and then we've got 1-2 and 1-3. So anyway, let's see what happens. It's just about to kick off. Half time here, you can see it's Leipzig 1, Man City 0. So far so good for us. Okay, and the cash out's offering us 54% return if we wanted to get out right now. Now let me show you, during that first half I scalped on the 1-0 to bring that down to 0, so there is no risk on this particular scoreline, and we're actually in a really strong position now, because look, we've got no risk on the 1-0. 1-1, we've got green. All the other scorelines in favour of Man City are pretty much green. Okay, so we're in a very strong position. It's going to take a pretty dramatic turnaround for us to start to struggle in this one. But anyway, we're going to let it run, and then on the next goal, we will either bring it to 0-2 or we'll bring it to 1-1, and we'll trade from there. Let's see what happens. It's 1-0 to Man City at half time. 54 minutes and a bit of a twist. Leipzig 1, Man City 1. So Leipzig have equalised, which is very, very interesting. So anyway, we are going to anticipate that there's going to be more goals in this one. So what we're going to do is we're going to go 0 liability on this 1-1 scoreline, and there is a bit of calculation to it, but we can't quite show you it in this demo that's inside the course. But anyway, we're going to go 0 liability on it. We've got to keep that possibility of a Leipzig 2-1 in mind, so we want to try and lower the risk as much as we can. And then, yeah, once that's taken, it lowers the risk on the rest of it. So should we call this completely wrong, we're not going to lose our full stake. We're going to lose 72% of it. But we're still pretty confident, okay, that Man City are going to edge ahead and get onto that 2-1 scoreline. So let's see what happens. Plenty of time to do it. And of course, if you were watching the action or keeping up with the stats and you thought that the match had gone the opposite way, we could still just take a profit, okay? The correct score market usually always gives you some sort of chance. That's only if you cover the score lines correctly. But anyway, here we are, 1-1, 56 minutes on the clock. Let's see what happens next. 84 minutes on the clock. Man City have got ahead, as kind of expected in this one. So let me show you one thing when it gets to this late in the match. You want to move quickly, okay? Because we want to try and remove all the risk from the trade, just in case there's some sort of double whammy of late goals from Man City. And so we want to always put ourselves in that position where we're not going to lose anything, okay? And it's just a matter of how much we can potentially win. Now, the cash out's offering us pretty much around 100% return. However, look, if Man City can add another goal to this, we'll be on the 1-3 scoreline, which will be 320. So I think it's worth letting it run. There's obviously the risk of the 2-2, but remember, we went into this knowing it's a strong probability that Man City are going to win this match, and we're going to stick with that. So it is a case of letting it run. Okay, let's let it run. If it remains 2-1, we're going to make 91%. But if Man City can add to it, we've got a nicer profit. Okay, so there's one thing to keep in mind when you're trading the correct scores. Always leave yourself open to potentially make a bigger profit from a late goal. Okay, we've got that opportunity there. If not, we've still got a decent return. So let's see what happens. It's Leipzig 1, Man City 2, 85 minutes on the clock. And just to show everyone, you could cash it out as well. Okay, but we're not going to do that because there is still that possibility Man City could add to this profit. 91 minutes on the clock. Man City have the third. That puts us on that 1-3 scoreline. So as I said, it's worth us staying in. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and manually just equalize the profits. We've got to act very quick because you never know, there could be another goal. If it goes 3-2 or it goes 4-1, then we lose everything. But anyway, let's do that, and we'll take another 5 off. So it should give us a total profit now of 295 if it remains 3-1. If we do get another goal, we will leverage up even further. That's also something that we encourage you to do, and we show you many examples of this inside the course. So yeah, there you have it. I mean, I thought this trade played out pretty well in this one. We were in a strong position. I remember I scalped that 1-0 to Man City. So when it was 1-0 to Man City at half time, that was pretty much it. I think that's the final whistle. I think. Oh, okay, not sure what that is. But anyway, yeah, I think that wraps it up. Yeah, that is the final whistle. So yeah, you saw what happened at half time. We scalped down to the 1-0. We still had 1-1 covered and all these other scorelines. So even when it went to 1-1, it wasn't really a stress. Remember, we knew Man City was a high probability of winning this match, so we could stick with that. And it went, yep, very nicely to plan. So our final profit on this one is going to be on that 3-1 scoreline, the 295. Very nice return. Final score, Leipzig 1, Man City 3. This is Paderborn against Schalke from Bundesliga 2. And you can see Paderborn here just a shade above evens, 2.2, and the market's expecting goals on this one. 1.56 on over 2.5 goals, so pretty short price on over 2.5. And as you can see, we've covered a fair few score lines, all in favour of Paderborn. Our plan B being there, the 2-2. So anyway, let's see what happens. It's just about to kick off on the Bundesliga 2. It's half time in this one. Paderborn 1, Schalke 0. So far, so good, really. During the first half, we scalped on the 1-0 and took cover on that. So we're pretty much break even on this 1-0 that we're on. So that's good for us because it means, look, if it does remain 1-0, we're not going to take any loss on this. Danger score lines to look at the moment are 1-1, as you can see. But if Paderborn can get that next goal, we're pretty much an easy street after that because we've got 2-0, 2-1, 2-2, 3-0 and 3-1. So it'd have to take an absolute disaster to lose money at that particular point. So let's see what happens. And just to show you, the cash out is offering us a cash out. So if you want, you could always take that, but we're always trying to push it to the limit. Let's see what happens. Paderborn 1, Schalke 0 at half time. 54 minutes on the clock. Paderborn have just made it 2-0 over Schalke. So that puts us on this 2-0 scoreline, and we're in a very, very strong position now. And we're expecting more goals. Okay, we're expecting more goals. The cash out's not a very healthy cash out at the same time, but we are expecting more goals, and we're going to try and see if we can bump this profit up. So we're going to go 0 liability on the 2-0. Okay, so that will basically put us break even if it remains 2-0, but we're going to get a bit more profit on the other score lines potentially. Okay, and there is a bit of a calculation to go in 0 liability that we do show you inside the course, so we can't show you fully how to do that, but it's very, very quick and very easy. And as you can see, we are in a strong position now, and a third goal to Paderborn would be really, really nice. And what that's done, going 0 liability, it's also lowered down the risk substantially on the trade overall. So let's see what happens. Let's see if we can get onto that third goal for Paderborn. That should be the money goal that we're looking for. Let's see what happens. 2-0, 56 minutes on the clock. 76 minutes on the clock, and we've had that third goal, and the price on the 3-0 scoreline that we're on has dropped below evens. So this is usually a good time once that price drops below evens to start to look to cash out. So anyway, what we're going to do first, removing all the risk from the trade. Okay, it's the first priority. We're now risk free on this, and we're pretty much just going to press that cash out and get this locked in, and then we're going to just review everything. Okay, so let's take a look and see where we stand. So this is our position now. We've got saved 260 on this 3-0, and then all the other scores are 240. We've also got a bit of extra change on the 3-1 should Schalke pull one back. Okay, so that's also there as well. And yeah, we're in a very good position with this, and that's pretty much job done, really. It's just a matter of seeing if there's going to be, I guess, any more goals, especially if Schalke can pull one back. We're going to potentially double our profits, but let's see. If not, otherwise, this is pretty much job done, and a very good demonstration of how to trade the correct score market, as you've seen here. As you saw how it developed, we were pretty low risk. Okay, you saw how it was pretty stress-free. We checked it at half-time, didn't even have to take any action. We took action on the second goal and our final bit of action on the third goal. Okay, so it's not even that complicated, really. And anyway, that's pretty much it. Paderborn 3, Schalke 0. And also, just to show you, because as we spoke about earlier on, we're talking about maximizing those profits. We've removed all risk. We've now got a profit. Now, if you do want to maximize the profits even more, you can always put in an additional lay. So look, we've got 260 of green on that 3-0. If we were to lay off here to put an extra 100 of profit on all the other outcomes, we're still making a pretty decent profit on the 3-0. And of course, how much you lay off and all that sort of thing is totally up to you. We give you directions on how to do that inside the course. But as you can see now, we're still making a very nice profit. However, a bonus goal to anyone will leverage up our profits nicely up to at least 3-4-1. If it's Schalke, then we're really going to leverage it up nicely. So just wanted to show you that. Still got 5 minutes plus the injury time. Let's see if we can hit it. So I didn't think it was going to happen, but in the 99th minute there has been a consolation goal, and it's just gone 3-1, and that is actually the end of the match. So you can see it here. It's going to be Paderborn 3, Schalke 1. I'm just confirming that goal. Yep, it's popping up on all the notifications and everything. So yeah, Paderborn 3, Schalke 1. So if there was going to be a consolation goal, it's fell the right way. Okay, so that we actually take 100% of that profit, the 580. We didn't even get time to cash it out. We did expect that maybe Paderborn might get a fourth and we could leverage it up, but in the end it's fallen very, very nicely for us, and just shows why we look to try and leverage up those profits. Remember, worst case scenario, we put ourselves in a position where worst case scenario we were still going to take home 211, and anyway, we got that late goal. Consolation for Schalke, but a big goal for us. So final score on this one, Paderborn 3, Schalke 1, and we walked out with 580 profit, and we were never really in doubt as the match progressed. As you saw, we're out with a profit. So I hope you enjoyed checking it out, and there are more live trades coming up. We're not done yet with that. We've got more live trades coming up, including this one that you can see on the screen. You're going to see how we made this profit, starting out with a £100 stake. And again, we were applying pretty much what you learned earlier on with RRRP. We're removing risk and racing profit. So you're going to see how we did that. We've also got some other trades with some more surprising outcomes, and some trades where maybe we don't get into the very best situations. You're going to see how that was handled also. So anyway, that's coming up. But either way, look, so far you've seen with correct score trading, there's no need to watch the match. The numbers can guide you. You kind of saw in those live examples how we were picking out the matches. It was based on the market probability. We're not going to be there watching a match, trying to read it, and we're not going to be doing heavy amounts of research either. It's easy to find the qualifiers because we're just following the market and applying techniques. It really is just about becoming a good trader. That's what it is, okay? And similarly, you don't need a deep knowledge of the game. There's no specific player knowledge that you need, or form info. You're not going to need to know how a certain player is performing or not performing, or how a team performs at home, or how they perform on a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night or anything like that. No deep knowledge is required. As said, it's all about just becoming a good trader. It's about looking at the markets, looking at the numbers, looking at the probabilities, and letting them guide you. Okay, that's what it's all about. But anyway, I mean, based on this and based on everything you've just seen, let me ask you a question. And the first question is, do you think you can do this? After seeing those live examples and everything that's been taught to you, Does it seem that complicated? Does it seem like something you can do? Put yes in the chat box if so, or if you're not interested in using the chat box, just shout it out wherever you are. And furthermore, here's another question. Does this look like fun? Does this look like fun to you? Put yes in the chat box or just shout it out wherever you are. And I mean, you've seen the live examples there. You're entering the market with a certain amount of stake. Depending on how the match develops, you could end up with multiples of that stake by the end of it. If you're a football fan, then, well, it's extremely fun, okay? Because you can watch the matches if you really want to watch the matches at the same time. And you can end up in situations where you're just cheering on more goals, okay? So it can turn even the most dull, say, Thursday night Europa Conference League match into a pretty fun event, okay? But anyway, does this look like fun? Put yes in the chat box if you think so. And also, would you like to learn more and go deeper with your correct score trading? Put a yes in the chat box if so. And look, if you've answered yes to any of these questions, then you might like the look of this. This is Correct Score Mastery, our flagship correct score trading program, where we show you how to become a master of the correct score market. Like I said, learning to trade profitably on the correct score market isn't about upping your overall football knowledge. It's just about becoming a good trader, learning all the techniques and strategies that are required for the correct score market. And by the time you've completed what is a 5-day program, it's an online program, but generally you can complete it within 5 days. Some people do it quicker. Some people do it within a weekend. Some people like to take their time with it. It's all there for you online for you to do at your own pace. But generally, it's a 5-day program. By the time you're done, you should have the confidence to be able to sit down and trade almost any football match via the correct score market. So no matter who wins or loses in the match, you should be in a position to either minimize your losses when it doesn't go right or maximize your profits. And that is all done using techniques very, very similar or the same as what you've seen so far on this webinar. Okay, so you're going to be taking what you've seen already and learned today and putting it on steroids. You're going to learn the dark art of correct score trading, as said, how to minimize risk, maximize profits, and how we made profits like this on the screen using these principles. I do believe this was a 619 profit, but we were 1 goal away from hitting 4 figures. And remember, we're starting out in this particular match. We entered the market with just £100, so it's not a bad position to be in. Injury time goal, we're walking away with 4 figures. And also, as said, look, you are learning how to minimize the losses at the same time if it doesn't completely go to plan. And look, just inside module 1 of the course, you're going to be learning exactly that. There's no silly risks being taken inside this program. We're going to be using our skills to make every trade as low risk and as high reward as possible. So look, when it doesn't totally go to plan, like in this match, Inter going to win it 1-0. Looks like we've got this loss down to just an £18 loss, okay? If there is a late goal, an injury time goal, we're looking at being a pink break even, which is absolutely fine, okay? This match didn't go to plan. It didn't go as forecast, but we've got our loss down pretty low, which is obviously nice position to be in. And as said, when it goes wrong, if we can minimize our losses like that, but maximize our losses, maximize our wins when it goes right, then you're in a very, very nice position and you're learning exactly that. And we're going to hit some nice, big, juicy wins when we get it right, like this one here with 660. Okay, so we want to try and be in positions where, look, if we get it wrong, we can get our losses down to something like that. But when we get it right, we can get our wins up to something like that. And that keeps a very nice equilibrium with our trading, so that you're never in a position where you take one loss and then you're spending 4 or 5 matches to try and make it back. We've seen correct score trading programs put out like that, correct score trading systems put out like that in the past, where, look, yeah, you're going to get loads of wins, but one loss can wipe out like 10 or 20 wins or something like that. And that's not the way forward, really. Okay, it's very, very stressful to trade like that. So the most important thing to keep in mind is that you're not taking any silly risks with correct score mastery, and anything you learn inside Correct Score Mastery. And anyway, you're going to be learning a lot of that all inside Module 1, and that's quite similar to what you're already learning on the webinar. So that's obviously the intro, but then Correct Score Mastery Module 2, Technical Mastery, and this is where we start to get into the real good stuff. Okay, so let's start to list off some of the stuff you're going to learn inside the Technical Mastery module. And as I kind of hinted at earlier on, this is the stuff we can't show you inside the webinar because this is reserved just for the members. So you're going to be learning unique Dutching, split and skew staking methods, and we reveal which one is the best. And remember, the whole idea behind the program is to teach you how to master correct score trading. Okay, so we're going to show you all the different methods. We do show you what we feel is the best method. However, you could look at the different methods and you can make your own decision about what you want to use going forwards. Not everyone's the same, and there's no one size fits all for everyone. You're going to learn the market forecast method, where we're going to let the market guide our decision making. This makes it so much easier, so much less stressful as well for a lot of people, especially the beginners. And you're going to learn the zero liability method, and this is huge towards boosting our profits and lowering our risk whilst taking no risk in the market. And the green shift, so you're going to learn how to move the profits around in play. And again, that's with no added risk. So we're not doing anything silly, okay? It's not like we're entering the market with, say, £100 of risk. Something goes wrong, suddenly we've got £2,000 at risk, okay? Nothing like that is happening. Nothing like that is happening. I want to reassure everyone of that because, as said, there's been stuff put out in the past by other people where it kind of goes along those lines, and it's a ridiculous way to trade, okay? It's not sustainable at all. So anyway, you're going to learn the green shift, how to move the profits around. And the main idea behind that is, like, look, if the match is going one way, or you forecast it using the market forecast method to go one way, however, half time it's starting to look like it's going the other way, well, you can just move your green around, okay? So suddenly you were favoring the home team, now you want to favor the away team. You can move stuff around, and we show you exactly how to do that. You're also going to learn the 2+ rule, which will allow you to easily predict the correct score market movement, which again is essential because, as said, you're learning how to become a master of this market. So you're going to learn every little facet of it. There's no stone left unturned. With this, you're going to learn the full liability technique, and that's how to deploy our biggest weapon to be aggressive in the markets. We'll show you all about that. Risk removal, that's removing the risk from the danger scores without complicated calculations. We show you how to make that easy also. Also, we got the true price trick. This one's a little bit hard to explain, but there is a typical newbie mistake which a lot of people start to do when they get in a correct score market. But we explain firstly how to avoid that mistake and then what to do. Okay, so you'll see that when you get there. The emergency cash out method. This is huge because I know a lot of people have tried it to trade the correct score market and they're total beginners. Maybe they've seen some of our YouTube videos. They've dived into the market. And what can often happen with the correct score market, the cash out disappears late on, okay? And that's not great. And that happens to all of us. So we show you how to manually cash out when the market goes crazy late on. A lot of beginners have been caught out by that. So we show you how to avoid it, what to do. And also the pay yourself profit distribution method. So we show you how to get paid well and set yourself up for those bigger profits, okay? This is pretty much the RRRP, okay? Racing profits. We show you exactly how to do that and how to make sure that, look, every goal goes in, it's going to increase your profits, okay? So those late goals, say you get a late injury time goal, as mentioned, you could potentially double your profits. And we show you exactly how to do all that and manage all that in play. It's absolutely huge. And so as you can see, I mean, module 2 is looking pretty good. But let me just quickly show you. This is an example of the green shift. I want to just give you something visual just so you understand what I mean. So this was Leipzig against Celtic. It's 1-1, 51 minutes in. And we have a profit of 84 on Leipzig, but a bigger profit on Celtic. Now, we wanted to have a bigger profit on Leipzig because they were by far the dominant team. So with a few clicks of the mouse, we moved it around and we had a smaller profit on Celtic, bigger profit now on Leipzig, as you can see, and that was just how he shifted around the green. Okay, no additional risk, no extra money going into the market or anything like that. Okay, just shows you the flexibility of correct score trading. As said, you can enter the match thinking it's going to go one way. If it starts to go a different way, depending on the stats, or if you are watching it, then you can move stuff around. Okay, it's so good to be flexible. It's not like if you are trading, say, backing overs and then there's no goals. I mean, what do you do then? It's a bit of a struggle. Backing unders and then loads of goals fly in, also a bit of a struggle to get out of that. With correct score trading, there's lots you can do. There's lots and lots of options, and as said, it really is all about just becoming a good trader, learning all the techniques, learning all the strategies, building up the experience. That's what it's all about, just becoming a good trader and mastering the market. So anyway, that's module 2. We're going to look at module 3. Okay, this is the Q systems. Okay, the Q systems, and this is where you're going to start to learn some strategies. So you've learned a lot of techniques. Q systems. This is the framework produced by expert football trader Stephen Q McEwen, one of the best I've seen in the business, who traded the correct score market exclusively until very recently, hit with paying bigger and bigger commissions, which made him lose interest in football trading, moved over to trading Forex, where you could scale up even more. And that happens quite a lot in this industry. But it's good news for us, because when this happens, people like Stephen are open to sharing the systems with people like us and giving us an inside look for a certain price, of course. Anyway, you're going to discover what are the 3 main correct score trading strategies that you will follow and you're going to begin your journey with. Okay, there is something for everyone, with each system having a particular difficulty level. Okay, so you start out with Q Blue, which is very easy to operate for beginners. Then you move up to Q Green, where it gets a little bit more advanced, and then Q Red is definitely more advanced, and this is the main one that Stephen was using going forwards. Okay, so as said, look, if you're a beginner, start out with Q Blue, then just move up. Okay, blue is the lowest risk, but red is the most aggressive and the most profitable. So look, there's something for everyone. And with each system, you're going to learn the full Q system step by step. It's very easy to understand. And then you've got the Q system target score formula. And this is huge, okay? Because as we mentioned earlier on about the importance of the target score formula, well, you're going to learn what is probably the best combination of scores to cover. You're going to get a full plan A and plan B incorporated into the formula, which puts you in a good position whichever way the match develops. And this is priceless, and it's great for you, since then you don't have to spend time figuring out a good target score formula at the start. You can take this and go. And as I said, the main idea behind the whole correct score mastery program is that by the time you're done, you're going to come up with your own target score formulas. Okay, however, in the beginning, you're going to use the Q target score formula, and then with time and experience, you're probably going to tweak it. You might change some scores around. You might change the methods around a little bit, and that's only going to come with time and experience. But the main idea from the program is that eventually you're going to come up with your own target score formulas. However, we're not just going to give you the information and then say, hey, find your own target score formula. We're going to give you one to work with, okay? One that's been proven. So anyway, that is what is included in the Q system. And look, I'm going to give you a little bit more detail about them all. So the Q Blue is perfect for beginners. As I said, if you want to trade low liquidity matches or even via mobile, then Q Blue is absolutely perfect for that. It's the most simple of all the Q systems. As I said, you're going to learn the Q system target score formula. You're going to discover the ideal matches to apply it to, and then we show you what to do in particular scenarios. And the aim is always limit our risk, maximize our profits when things are going our way. Okay, there are so many different scenarios. No match is the same as the other in the correct score market. And as you might have guessed, we do have an extensive library full of real life trading demonstrations for you as well, for each and every system. So as said, there's so many different scenarios that can play out. You're going to see so many different matches where we demonstrate exactly what happened. So you're going to see every move behind how we made this profit in Europa League using the Q Blue. So as I said, we're using the Q Blue. You're going to see exactly this trade, and you're also going to see this. This was an interesting one because this match went wildly against what we were expecting. I'm sure if you know anything about football, Leipzig would have been a strong favourite against Shakhtar. They ended up losing 4-1 somehow. However, we turned it around. Okay, we turned it around. We obviously favoured Leipzig at the start, but as you can see, we turned it around and we walked away with a very nice profit in the end of it. So you're going to see exactly how we did that. As said, you can be very, very flexible in the correct score markets, and you're going to learn that with the Q Blue. And the live trading library is absolutely packed. It's not just these two examples. There's a lot more. Okay. So anyway, that is the Q Blue. And then look, once you're done with the Q Blue, once you've learned that, you can start to move up to the Q Green system. And this is where things get a bit more advanced. Okay. Now, the essence of the Q system is going to remain similar, but now you're going to start to be a little bit more proactive with your trading. So you're progressing up. And you're going to learn how to take cover and take insurance on danger score lines. And this is extremely powerful, and it will allow you to limit those potential losses as much as possible and allow you to use your cover as leverage towards even bigger potential wins. So it's a little bit more aggressive. As said, it's a little bit more advanced. So depending on your level and experience of football trading, I know some have dived straight in to Q Green and Q Red, but some like to start with Q Blue and slowly work their way up. It's totally up to you. You get the course for life, so you can take your time with it. I know some people have absorbed this information over the period of a couple of months. Okay, some have done it in a weekend. Totally up to you. That's the beauty of the online course, is that you can go at your own pace. There's absolutely no rush with it. Now, as said, with the Q Green, this is where you're going to start to learn this, and you've seen it in some of the live trades today, and we've got more live trades coming up. So you're going to see some similar examples of this, but you're going to start to learn low risk ways to remove liability from danger scores, like you can see on this page here. And similarly, how we can then leverage that up to even bigger wins with the Q Green. Okay, so as said, RRRP, remove the risk, race the profits. This is exactly what you're learning here. As said, removing risk as much as possible in the early stages of the match, race the profits in the late stages. That's the formula. That's the formula. That's the secret sauce behind all of this. And you learn that in Q Green in a lot more detail. But then you get to Q Red, and this is the big daddy. Okay, this is the most advanced method of all, and you will operate this with a similar Q system principles, but your aggression meter is turned up to the maximum. So you're going to be learning not just how to create insurance on some of these score lines, but actually create free bets on certain scores, which is going to add to our potential leverage. So for example, we had this match here with Real Madrid, and we had created profits on these lower scores. Okay, the 1-0, the 0-0, the 0-1, all had profits sitting on them that we had created earlier in the match. 74 minutes in, and it's still 0-0, but look, you know, we're expecting someone's going to break the deadlock in this sort of match, and we leveraged that up very nicely, ended up as a 2-0 win, and we walked away with £415 of profit. Okay, so we were in a very strong position, as you could see, even by probably half time in this one. And 74 minutes, we decided to leverage up, racing profits. We didn't want to just take that £100 profit. We thought there was potential for goals, and we leveraged it up. And anyway, look, you've got all of these live examples in the live trading library for every single strategy. So you're going to see exactly how it's done, so you can replicate it for yourself. So within the Correct Score Mastery program, you are getting the Q Blue, the Q Green, and the Q Red, and that is a decent amount of value, okay, just in there. And there's still a lot more, which I will show you more of in just a moment. As you can see here, there is the Platinum package as well for Correct Score Mastery, which includes even more strategies, and there are other tools available. And I'm going to give you more details about those in just a moment. But remember, we still have more live trades coming up. However, I want to address the overall value of the Correct Score Mastery program, because remember, correct score trading is an advanced form of football trading. So this isn't 100% for beginners. If you're totally new to football trading, totally new to Betfair, this is probably not for you yet. But just keep in mind, this is definitely an advanced form of football trading. It's also extremely niche. Not many are doing this, and not many are teaching this. Okay, it's not many places you can really learn correct score trading to this sort of level. And also remember, the correct score markets, limited liquidity with high profit potential. So these markets do have limited liquidity. That is not to say there isn't a decent amount of money to be made. It just means that, look, if everyone starts to do this and we start to push everyone to do it, then, well, the liquidity could start to become a bit of a problem, okay? Especially if everyone's starting to become successful at it. So with these things in mind, I'm sure you're going to understand that something like Correct Score Mastery is not going to be cheap. It's not going to be bargain basement at all, okay? And keep this in mind as well, that previous correct score system vendors have charged $2,000 to £3,000, or $2,000 to $3,000, as it says there, for one system. We've seen it in the past where vendors have come out, one correct score system, and they're charging £2,000 to £3,000. And as said, these systems, very often you have to take huge risks when you're using it. And from what we've heard, not many people had that much long-term success with a lot of them. Okay, so keep that in mind as well. And so, as I said, it's not going to be cheap or bargain basement. But let me just quickly show you the two packages we have available for Correct Score Mastery. We have Correct Score Gold on the left, then Correct Score Mastery Platinum on the right, which gets you a fair bit more. Okay, so look, these are the values of the two packages, which is more than fair. And depending on your stakes, I know some of you here today can make that back within a month. And do remember, this is not an expense. This is an investment. You should always be looking at these things with the viewpoint of how long will it take me to make this money back, and then how much money can I make in the future after this. Whatever you spend on educational packages like this, it's not gone forever. The idea is that you're going to make that money back and then much more in the future. So that's the best way to measure it when you're looking at opportunities such as this. This is not like spending a few grand on a holiday and then you'd never see that money ever again. This is an investment, okay? You're putting the money in, you're expecting to make a return, okay? So you have to measure a lot of these things, and also think, how long will it take you to learn a lot of these skills if you just went on your own, okay? That's the other thing to consider. But anyway, as many of you know, we like to try and keep these things affordable to most within reason, okay? Affordable to most, but within reason. And so I want to show you something here, which is the introductory pricing we have secured for the programs, okay? We're aiming to keep this pricing structure that you can see on the screen, which is significantly lower, as you can see, significantly lower. We're aiming to keep this pricing structure until we hit a certain amount of members. Then we're going to go up to the pricing that you saw previously. So it's already a pretty big saving if you're getting in on the introductory offer. And what we're also doing to make it easier on the pocket is that you can break up the payments, okay? I do know that when prices go above 4 figures, it can often make people hesitate. It's definitely a fair chunk of money, especially in the world we're living in